Now be sure that you watch the past 2 training videos on Introduction to Mail Merge, because these next couple of training videos are going to be more about the advanced options. For example, as you recall in the previous training videos on Mail Merge, we used the letter here, one copy that we inserted or merged all the customers in my database into that one letter, that when we started the Mail Merge it actually duplicated that letter, one for each customer in my database. Well, instead of letters, I now want to show you Mail Merge when it comes to labels, envelopes, emails, and directories. So to get started, I'm going to go ahead and use the letter that we used in the previous training video. And as you recall, when the letter's linked to the database, when I double click on it, it's going to ask me if I want to go ahead and continue linking to it. If I choose no, then I'll have to choose another database, or I can choose the same one. It's just that it's not going to be linked. So I'm going to go ahead and choose yes. Opens it up. There's my letter. And it has a sample of one record in preview mode here, like Dear Homer and how many videos he purchased. Those are the 2 merge fields that I inserted. But if I want to make changes to the merge fields, or maybe choose another database, come up here, click on the Mailings tab, go to the Start Mail Merge group, click on the Start Mail Merge drop-down arrow, and go to Step by Step. Now over in the task pane, it takes me right to Step 3 of 6 because we have this linked up to our database. And what database is it? It's my mailing list Excel workbook database, as we went over in the previous training videos. Now if I want to go ahead and change the merge fields, of course you can come up here on the Mailings tab to the right and insert fields, click on the drop down arrow, add some more, or delete the ones that you currently have within your letter here. And I can't tell where my merge fields are at unless I come up here and click on highlight the merge fields, and you can see it highlights them in gray, as well as this one right here, because that's the dynamic date field. It updates automatically to today's date every time I open it up. So your shaded fields are your dynamic fields. And if I'm like, wait, that's not a merge field, let me go ahead and click on the button again to unhighlight those merge fields. Come up here and deselect the preview results, and then I can see my merge fields because it has those, because as you can see it's got those little arrows double on each side to say that that's a merge field. In any case, you know how to change those. If I want to go ahead and link this letter to a different database, of course you can come over here and select a different list. Or I want to go over this a bit more here. Instead of typing in a new list or using our existing one, how about the database that we have in our Outlook contacts? First of all, what's Outlook? Well, it's another Microsoft application program that, to oversimplify, sends and receives email. Well, it does so much more than that, but it's an email program. The additional features in Outlook include a database where you can keep track of your contacts. It's got fields for you automatically set up where you can type in your contact's name, email address, website, keep track of their birthdays, and, well, so much more. Also, it has a calendar that you can schedule appointments and have pop-up reminders for those appointments. A task feature that allows you to schedule tasks and have pop-up reminders for the task, a journal, and, well, you can learn more about it by watching my Outlook 2010 training videos, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and select it. Now, if you don't have Outlook, then just go ahead and glaze over this part. In any case, select it, come down here, click on Choose Contacts Folder. It opens up, and the default profile name should be Outlook, but if you have another profile that you created, go ahead and click on the drop-down arrow, select it, otherwise leave it as Outlook. Click OK. And then it says, okay, within the Outlook program I see 2 databases. You have your original contacts database, and then you have the suggested contacts database. And there's a total of 1 record in this one and 2 records in that one. Which one do you want? I'll select contacts, click Okie dokie, and then it opens up and it says, okay, here's the contact. Now notice, this is interesting. Because I'm selecting another database, the first name field isn't first name. In this database, they have first name as just first. So I'm going to be running into some issues here. In that, I still have my merge fields, my old merge fields from the previous database. Now I'm trying to link up to another database. It's not going to work. But because I have name, it's going to look at first name and go, that's not first, we have issues. And not only that, but videos. If you look in here in my contacts database, it doesn't have videos. I mean, trust me, it's not there. So let me click OK. And the issues come when I come up here and I click on Preview Results. When I click on it, it says, okay, we've got an invalid merge field, and the first one is first name. There it is, first name. And what it tries to do is it tries to find its complement in the other database, the Outlook contacts, and saying, well, we have a first here that we use for first name. Maybe that's what it is. So you've got 2 choices. You can either remove the invalid merge field from the main document, which removes it there, or you can replace it with the valid merge field, which is the first one here, and it gives you a sample. So it's not something really outrageous like first name, and then down here it has the person's street address. So it gives you those fields, and then you get a sample of what it's going to look like. Okay. So I can click remove field and it removes it, then it goes to the next field that's not in the database, or it doesn't match a field in the other database. And it's videos. Let me click and drag, there it is, videos. And it says, well, it could be first. Click on the drop down arrow and try to find if you have a videos field, or if there's something that's named differently but contains the same data in a different database, and try to match it up. Maybe it's down here somewhere under entry ID. I don't know. Maybe in that other database for videos, you didn't find a videos field, so you said, okay, I'll just put in the number of videos in the entry ID. Go ahead and match it up, select it. Gives you sample data of what's in there, and it doesn't look good. In any case, I'm going to go ahead and click remove the field. So what I can do, since I'm now linked to the contacts folder in Outlook, that database, I'm going to have to go ahead and start over again, and you get the idea, Dear who, well, come up here and click in the insert merge field, and you got a lot of fields there, first name, last name. We can do first, and then because it's in preview mode, it pulls them in, space, let's insert last. And I don't have a field for videos, so I'll just say thank you for purchasing training videos, okay? Okay, other options. Let's go ahead and click on previous to go back to step 1. Instead of doing letters, how about an email message? Go ahead and select that, click next. And then it changes the format. You don't have your left and right margins here. That's alright, because emails usually don't. Then just go ahead and continue on following the wizard, as we learned in the previous training videos. You can use the current document, the text in here, delete it, type in some text. Start from a template. When you select that, you'll get the option to go ahead and choose that template. Start from an existing document. It'll give you the option to choose another document. I'm going to go ahead and use the current document, and there's an extra space right there. Let me get rid of it. Hit the backspace. Okay, so we got the comma next to the last name. Click next. Now we have all the recipients being pulled in from my Outlook program in the contacts database. I can go ahead and edit the list that's being pulled in, uncheck those who I don't want pulled in, but I only have one, so okay. Let's go ahead and click next to write our email message here. When I click next, it takes me out of the preview, and it's got my first and last name merge fields. Go ahead and type whatever other text I want, insert other merge fields. When I'm done, just go ahead and click next to preview the email message, and then as you recall in the previous training video, it's all there. Let me just quickly go over the differences, okay? The differences between what we learned in the first training videos on mail merge and these advanced options that we have. So you know about the recipients, how to bounce back and forth, exclude recipients. In any case, let's go ahead and click next and complete the merge. When I do that, it gives me the electronic mail link. So it says mail merge is ready to produce your email messages. Click on it. And then it says, okay, who do you want to address it to? Well, their email address. You can choose other fields like their home fax, business fax. Let's keep it simple at the email address. And then the subject line is the mail format. Well, you learned about that in my Outlook training videos there, but in any case, you get a plain text HTML or attached. I'm just going to do HTML. In my opinion, the best format, because you get formatted text that you can include. And then send it to all the records. Click OK. And then you can see down below the Outlook icon right there. And let's go ahead and open up Outlook. Click on the Start button. Let's go to Microsoft Outlook 2010. Click on it to open it up. And it's in the outbox right there. It's going to be sent off. There's the title, thank you. In fact, if I double click on it, I can quickly open it up and glance over, and it's, well, addressed to him. He's got his email address, thank you, cool. So I can just go ahead and click send, and then it sends it off. Of course, it's going to come back because that's a felonious email address, but you get the point. And by the way, there's the contacts database right here. Click on it. You can see Barney Fife, the only contact I have in my database here. And then there's suggested contacts as well. I'm going to go ahead and close out of here and continue with the other options in the next training video. Okay, continuing on from the previous training video, let's come over here in the task pane and choose envelopes. Do a mail merge with envelopes. Come down here, click next. Do I want to change the document layout or start from an existing document? Now, I'm going to go ahead and come down here and choose an envelope size, because when this prints off and I stuff the envelopes in my printer, this is way too big. So I'm going to go ahead and choose envelope options. Size 10 is the default, or the ones that I'm going to be using. Click Okie dokie. And it says in order to apply the selected envelope option, Word must delete the current contents of the merged letter. I mean, that's okay, because really, we're changing it entirely. We're not going to have the letter printed on the envelope, right? We're doing a mail merge that includes, well, me, the sender, the address and the receiver who we're sending the envelope to. So we'll click OK. Cleans off everything. You got the size of the envelope, and let's go ahead and click Next to select our recipients. And I'm not going to use the contacts in my Outlook program, but select a different list, which is on the desktop in the exercises folder. As you recall, in the beginning training video of Mail Merge, my mailing list Excel workbook, and click Open. And I'm going to be using the records on worksheet 1. Click Okie dokie. There they are. I don't want to include the blank record, as you recall, and click OK. Great. Go ahead and click Next to arrange the envelope, or better yet, to not only insert my fields here of who I'm sending it to, but also let me type in who it's from. Okay, once I'm done there, there's actually a text box down here. You can't see it, but if you come up here on the Home tab, go to the paragraph, turn on your Show Hide Codes, you can see there's a paragraph marker right there. You click inside of it, now you can see the text box, and that's where our merge fields go, because those are the people who we're sending this envelope to, or their address that we're addressing them to in this mail merge. So click in there, come back up here, click on the Mailings tab, and I can insert the merge fields. I can insert first name, space, last name, hit enter. You get the idea. Address 1, hit enter. Quickly do this, city, comma, insert merge field state, and then space bar, and then zip code. That's it. Then I can just come up here, click on preview results. Let me go back to the Home tab and turn off the Show Hide Codes. And it looks pretty good. Let's just go ahead and continue on. Click on Next to preview the envelopes. Like we learned in earlier training videos, we can go from one recipient to the next to see how they pull their information. You can view it over here as you're clicking the arrows, and then you can exclude recipients, edit the recipient list. Let's go ahead and complete the merge. Then I can come over here and either print it, so it prints off one envelope at a time, or I can click on Edit Individual Envelopes. Choose all, click OK. Now this may look a little disconcerting to you, but remember, in our basic Word Level 1 training video on printing, when you go to the print preview, what you see there is what you get. So this looks odd, but when you come up here, click on File, go down to Print, look at the print preview. Oh, that's nice. It doesn't look as spooky as when we come back up here and click on the File tab and it looks like this isn't going to print. It will. It'll print correctly. Just make sure that you have the envelopes inserted correctly into the printer, okay? Cool. I'm going to go ahead and close out of here, not save it. Let me go ahead and close out of here, not save that, and let's go back to our merge letter and say yes, we want to be linked to our database. And then let me show you the rest. Click on Mailings, click on Start Mail Merge, step by step. Takes me to step 3. Let's go back to the start here. Okay, letters, email messages, envelopes. Let's do labels now. Click Next. Now we need to choose our labels. Click on the Label Options link. Now on the box of labels that you purchased, it should have a listing of a vendor. Click on the drop-down arrow. If it's Microsoft, choose Microsoft. I'm going to choose Avery US Letter. And then down below there should be a product number on the box, because when you select the product number, it actually has the label information already inputted in for you. The height of the label, the width, the page size. If you can't find the product number, then you may want to click and create your own label. Click on New and put in the dimensions. Labels height, width, how many labels across, how many labels down on an 8.5 by 11 inch page. Also the margins, vertical pitch, and then the name. I'm going to click Cancel because for the most part you should be able to find your product number here. Let me scroll down here and it's right there, 5160 Easy Peel address label. It's got a 1 inch height, 2.63 width on an 8.5 by 11. Click OK. Then it says, look, in order for us to go ahead and change this to a label layout, you're going to lose everything here. Are you okay with that? Yes, click OK. And there we go. Now, by default, you probably won't see the grid here. So you may have to come up here, click on the Layout tab, go to the Table group, and click on View Grid Lines, because when I click on it, it turns it off. Click on it again, then you can see it. It makes it a lot easier for me to see how the labels are going to be displayed or distributed over the page here. Then come over here, click Next. Let's select our recipients, a database, or go ahead and type in a new list. I like the database that we're linked to, my mailing list, so let's go ahead and click Next again. When I do that, it automatically puts in the code next record, because when I insert my merge field, we want it to go to the next record, right? We don't want the first record to be duplicated in this label, that label, and all the others. We want a label for each record within the database, okay? So all I need to do now really is to insert the merge fields by either coming up here, clicking on the Mailings tab, and of course, clicking on Insert to first name, hit the space bar, clicking on Insert to last name, which is a waste because, let me delete that. We have the address block over here, as you recall, in the beginning training videos on mail merge, is that the address block, let me click on it, has the first name, street address, city, state, and zip code. All you have to do is come over here and choose the format if you want a junior, or you don't want their titles here, but just maybe their first name. In any case, I do want their first and last name. You can see it over in the preview, Homer Simpson, street address, city, state, and zip code. Click Okie dokie. It adds the merge field here, but it doesn't add them in all the other fields, and that's important because if we don't add them in the other fields, we only have one label that will be printed, and that's for the first record. So I can either come up here, select it, and copy it and paste it in all the other labels, or better yet, when I'm in this label here, or in that cell, just come down here in the task pane and click on Update All Labels, and it automatically copies what the other labels don't have that's in the first label here into the others. So we take the first record, displays it there, then it goes to the next record, displays the fields there, then the next record displays the fields there, and so on. Of course, you can hit enter and type in some other text like, have a great day, okay? Again, because it's not in all the other cells, when I have my cursor flashing in that one and I click update, it copies it and puts it in all the other cells. Pretty cool. Okay, let me go ahead and hit undo because we don't want to do that. Next, let's go ahead and preview the labels. Click on next. And I've got more than just these two records here, but the only way I can find and see the other records is to come up here and click on the back arrow, and then it pushes it over. So I have 3 here. When I click on forward, it just pushes them out, and it's just displaying because it's scrolling through all the records. If I had 30,000 records, well, guess what? I only have 1 page. It's not going to create like 500 pages for the 30,000 records, or however you do the math. I don't have my calculator here with me. It'll just show you 1 page, and you can go ahead and scroll, as you can see here, through all the records, okay? So don't panic if you like, I don't see them all here. It's just going to give you a preview of the page, and you can scroll through the records one by one. And again, over here, you can scroll through the records as well, edit, and choose who you want to print a label for, or go ahead and uncheck their record and not include them here. In any case, let's go ahead and click Next to complete the merge. And you can either print or edit the individual labels. Click on Edit all of them, click OK, opens it up, and then what I do from here is I don't automatically stick the labels in the printer and print this off because sometimes the printer and the margins in my Word document don't match up, so I could have a label with text that's printing on the label itself outside of the margin. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and print the first page on a blank sheet of paper, take that, put it behind a blank sheet of labels, and hold it up to the light, so that way I can see if my text is right on that label or outside of it. If it's on the outside, then I can come in here and go, okay, I need to take that border of this table here and click and drag and move it in. So it brings it in so it's not on the outside. Because what you see here doesn't necessarily convert exactly to the size of the page. So you may have to, adjust your labels accordingly and push them over so this doesn't get cut off, or print the last part of the first label. And then when you print this off, hold it up to a sheet of labels behind some light, and you can see that it looks all good. Then you can go ahead and put your labels in and click print and not waste all that time. Okay, let's go ahead and close out of here, and don't save it. I'm going to close out of here, not save it, and reopen this document again and say yes, I do want to connect it to the database. Click yes, and let's go over the mailings to the Start Mail Merge step by step, and let's go back to step 1. Because the last one I want to cover is the directory. Now the directory is just like it sounds. If you have a list, if you want to create a phone list of all the clients' first name, last name, and their phone. If you want to go ahead and create a company phone list, well, first of all, have the database for all the employees within your company, and be sure to have their extensions, and, well, put it into a directory. So let me go ahead and select it, click Next, and I'm going to use the current document, click Next to arrange it, because I'm going to use the same database. And then I can insert my merge fields, again, if it's a company directory, first name, insert the merge field last name, and then insert the merge field, if we had one, for extension, so insert there. And of course, you probably wouldn't have all this, so we'll just do the first name. Let's delete that. Let's just do first name here. Hit enter, give it some space, and then click next to preview the directory, and then when I complete the merge and I go to a new document and I say all of them, there you go. Dear Doug. Well, of course I could have deleted the dear here and had their extension. So Doug is at extension 516. If I had the merge field, it would show up here. Then Homer's extension, Wilberforce extension, just like a directory there. Okay. Let me go ahead and close out. Don't save it. And last but not least, everything that you have over here in the wizard is available up here on the ribbon. And what I mean by that is that you don't have to start your mail merge. You don't have to go down to step by step. You can actually just click on directory labels here and it brings it up. Go ahead and choose 5160. Well, that's my label here. Click OK. It's going to wipe everything off. Click OK. It's got next record all updated. So if I just want to create a label, like a return address label for me, so the hundreds of letters that I send out each month, I want a label. So I'll type in my information here. Then when I'm done, go ahead and click Update All Labels. And then let's go next to preview it. That code next record disappears, and hey, I've got a bunch of return address labels. In fact, if you want to get fancy on this, you can click over here, maybe hit enter or move the text over and insert, a picture like, a big K for Kurt Kershaw, or maybe a bunch of birds because maybe I changed my logo because we love birds, or whatever goes with my return address label here. Cool. And like I said, again, everything that you have in your task pane everything that you have in this task pane you have up here, like the update labels button. That was in the task pane. Merge fields, greeting line, address block, that was in the task pane. Finish and merge, you can do it here and just go right to print the documents. Like I said, you don't have to use this, so if you're a real pro, you don't need help with that task pane. Well, I must not be a real pro because I like the task pane. In any case, you can do it one way up here on the ribbon or using the step-by-step wizard in the task pane. Okay, when it comes to selecting a recipient over here in the task pane, step 3, we can either go ahead and pull it from Microsoft's Outlook program, the database in there, or we can select it from or we can go ahead and choose a Microsoft Excel workbook and select our data from that, or we can go ahead and create one, and when we type in a new list, it saves it so you can open it up in the Access program. So the 3 programs of Microsoft Office that you can use for your database are Access, Excel, and Outlook. But did you know you can also use Word? This is how you do it. Come up here and let's create a new Word document. Click on the File tab, go down to New, and double click on Blank Document. And to create a database in here, all you have to do is insert a table. Come up here, click on Insert, go to Table, and I don't know, it depends on how many fields you want in your table. I'll do a 4x2 table, click on it, and what you want to do here is in the top row is type in the labels for each column here. And what you want to do for the top row is type in the labels for each column here. So the first column is going to be for first name, okay, hit the tab key, last name, and then maybe phone, and then extension, okay. Hit the tab key to go to the next row, and then I can start typing in my records. So for this column, it's going to be the first name, Joe. Hit the tab key, and then of course you just keep on going down, and every time I hit the tab key it'll add another row. Well, you can watch my training video on tables here. You get the idea, right? Let me do one more. Okay, when I'm finished, go ahead and save it. Let me click Save. Let me go to my desktop. I'll save it on the desktop and call it Spiffy Database. Okay, click Save. And basically, so you know what's going on again, When I use this as my database, it's going to look at the table. I don't want anything else within the document, and in the table it's going to look at the first row as my header row, or the label row, or the label row. So I can say, okay, this labels this entire column. It's going to be first name. That labels that entire column. It's going to be last name. So let's close out. Go back to our document here. Let's select a different list. Click Desktop. And there it is, my spiffy database. Double click. And again, as we just learned, that the fields that I have in one database when I switch to another database may not have the same, may not be named the same, because the database I use in my Excel workbook is first name, and the field that it found in my Word document is first. So do you want to go ahead and replace it? The first name with the first? Or we can just go ahead and remove it, and then videos, remove that, and then it pulled in these two records. Cool, right? Go ahead and click OK, and then I can go ahead and now insert the correct merge fields. You come up here, insert first, space, last, and then, if I wanted to insert their phone number, there it is, their extension. And then I can go ahead and navigate and bounce back and forth between those two records that I have, and it looks good. Go ahead and finish the wizard, and there you go. So you can use Microsoft Word also as a database source. Why would you want to use it? Well, maybe if you have another database that Microsoft can't connect to here, Word, but you can export it into a text format that you can then export into Microsoft Word, and that you can go ahead and convert into a table. See, there's ways you can get around that. This may be one. Especially if you don't have Microsoft. Just the compatibility between all the programs to not lose all your work may be worth the effort if you need to use Word. In any case, it's there for you to use. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel to get notified of the latest videos. And for great specials on my products, please see the description below this video. Simply put, a macro is basically a bunch of recorded steps that then you can later on instantly execute those steps over and over again. For example, let's say that in each document you want to type in your company's name and then come up here to the font group and apply some formatting to that name, bold, italics, text effects, some color. Instead of doing that over and over again in each document, going through all those steps, how about if you just go ahead and do it once, but while you're doing it, go ahead and record those steps as you choose your formatting options there. And then save it as a macro, and then later on in a new document, just come up here and click on the macro button, which I'll show you how you can add to your quick access toolbar, or a combination of shortcut keys there like Alt-A, Alt-B. Well, you choose. I'll show you how you can choose that. So to get started, to record our steps for our first macro, you can do it one of three ways. You can either come down here on the status bar and click on the record button right there, and you can see in the little pop-up to the far right of it, it says click to begin recording a new macro, or you can come up here, click on the View tab, go to the Macros group, click on the drop-down arrow, and choose Record, or, let me click off. You can bring up the Developer tab, which by default isn't being displayed on the ribbon, and you can do that by right-clicking anywhere on the ribbon, go to Customize it, and then come down here and check Developer, click Okie dokie, and there's the Developer tab, click on that. Go to the Code group, and there we go, Record Macro. Well, if I'm not on these tabs, View or Developer, it's just easier for me to come down here and click on the record button in the status bar. Click on it, opens up the window so we can give it a name. Let's go ahead and type in, for this example, I'm going to have essential oils and then have a website address that people can go ahead and go to read more about essential oils and their benefits, and also if they like, purchase some essential oils. In any case, I'm going to type in essential. Now, the macro does not like spaces in the name. You can see I got a space there, so when I click OK, it says it's invalid. It doesn't say why, but trust me, it's invalid. Let me click OK, come back down here, start again, click on the record button. Let's type it in again. Only this time I can either go ahead and slam the text all together so there's no space, or hit the backspace key and do Shift_, and then type in oils. So that way it looks like to me that there's a space, but there's not. There's actually a character there. So I satisfy the macro name with not having a space, but I kind of get what looks like a space there between essential and oils. Okay, next the button. I'm not going to do it here. I got a better way, or a way that I like assigning the macro to the button, and I'll show you that later on. We can assign it to the keyboard, but you don't want to do that first because when you do that, you're not able to choose where you want to store the macro or type it in the description. Once you assign it to the keyboard, it just dumps you right into recording. So we better do this stuff down here first. Where do I want to store the macro when I'm done recording all the steps? I can do it in the normal template, which means anytime I create a new document, the new document's based on the normal template. So it'll always be available in all new documents. Or I can choose this document right here. You can see the name, and you can see up here in the title bar it's the name. So I can choose the current document only to store the macro, or if I want it available in all new documents, then go ahead and select that. You can also type in a description if you'd like about what this macro is all about. And then once I'm done, before I click OK, I do want to show you how you can assign this macro to the keyboard. Click on it, opens up. Where it says press new shortcut key, go ahead and click in here and then press a shortcut key. I chose the delete key and it says it's currently assigned to clear the text, and so we don't want to use that if it's already assigned to some other function in Word. So let me go ahead and hit the backspace key to get rid of that, and let's try Alt-A, the combination of two keys, and it says it's currently unassigned. Great. I'll go ahead and click assign, dumps it over here to say okay, the current keys that are assigned to this macro right here is Alt-A. You can assign more shortcut keys if you'd like, but for me, one's enough. Let me click close and boom, we're into recording mode right now. How can you tell? Well, one of a few ways. One is that look at my pointer. You see the little cassette tape below it? That means it's in recording mode. You can also look down here in the status bar and see the stop button, that when you hover over it, it says click to stop recording. Or if you have the developer tab up, you got stop and pause. I don't recommend using pause because you'd think that, okay, I'm going to pause it and then do some things and then restart it. I've had some, well, issues personally with it, but you can go ahead and try it. So now that we're recording, don't worry about time because it's not recording time, it's just recording actions. And the first action that I'd like to do is come up here on the Home tab, go to the paragraph group, and click on Write a Line. So it recorded that first step. And over on the right-hand side, I'm going to type in. Now there are some features that are disabled when you're in recording mode. A couple of them are when you try to click somewhere to put your cursor there, it won't work. Or when you try to click and drag, it doesn't work. So when you want to select your text to apply formatting to it, then use the arrow keys. As you know, you can move the cursor around. But holding down the Shift key and using your left arrow key will select everything to the left, right? We learned that in our Word training videos level 1. In any case, once I have it selected, I can go ahead and apply some formatting to it. Now, when it comes to applying formatting, you do not want to come up here in the font group and start clicking on your format options, because when you do, the recording feature will only recall maybe a few of them, not all of them. So what I recommend, as we learned in an earlier training video, when it comes to repeat formatting, you know how you go ahead and you select bold, then you hit the F4 key and it remembers that and applies the bold to whatever text you have selected, so you can keep hitting the F4 key, F4 key, F4 key over and over and over again. Well, if you want a combination of all the formatting when it comes to recording or using the F4 key, don't use the formatting on the ribbon here, but click on its expandable dialog box button there and choose all the formatting within this window, because all the formatting that you choose within the window when you click OK will be recorded, or when you hit the F4 key, it'll actually remember everything that you selected here. Let's go ahead and choose bold italic. Let's increase the font size to 14, choose the color. And I don't know, we can do underline, I suppose. And then when I'm finished, go ahead and click Okie dokie, and there you go. Then when I'm done, because I can't use the mouse to move my cursor around, I'll hit the right arrow key, so it's at the end, hit enter. And then if I want to go ahead and change this, because now I want to type in my website address, but I don't want the same type of formatting applied to that address as I do up above, so I'll have to come up here, click on this expandable dialog box button again, and then go ahead and change all our formatting within the window, and it will go ahead and record that. Back to black. Let's go ahead to size 12, regular, and let's don't have it underlined, so we'll select none, click Okie dokie. Now let's go ahead and type in our website, and that's it. Once I'm done, all you have to do is come down here and click on the stop button. Stops the macro. Where's the macro? How can I go ahead and rerun it? Well, the long way, let me go ahead and hit enter a couple of times, and notice after I hit enter, it actually converts it into a hyperlink. Well, when you're recording, as I mentioned, it disables a few things. So if I hit enter a couple of times during recording, it won't automatically convert that into a hyperlink. So that's another thing that's disabled there in any case. I can either come up here on the Developer tab, click on Macros button, or come to the View tab, click on the Macros button or the drop-down arrow to view the macros. Brings up the same window. And there it is, Essential Oils. All you have to do is go ahead and click Run, and boom, there it goes, Run. And as you recall, this converted it to a hyperlink, and I didn't have it converted before I stopped my recording. It was after when I hit enter. Cool. So now all I have to do is go ahead and run that every time I want to automatically have those steps repeated in any document, because remember I saved it to the new document template. Okay, so you can run the macro the long way, or you can do the shortcut. Remember we assigned the shortcut key to our macro, Alt-A. Let me hit enter and then do Alt-A, and it inserts it. If I don't hit enter and do Alt-A, it just pushes it on the same line. So maybe next time when I record the macro, I can go ahead once I'm done, hit enter, so it gives me that space. So when I go ahead and do Alt-A, it doesn't dump it on the same line, okay? That's the shortcut key. How about the button that I can go ahead and add to my quick access toolbar to click on it to execute the macro? Well, it's really simple. Just go ahead and right click on the quick access toolbar to customize it, and then click on popular commands and go to macros, and there's my macro, Essential Oils. Go ahead and select it, add it over here, and then once it's added, go ahead and click on modify, because I don't know about you, but gosh, that long name, to have that as a button on my quick access toolbar is kind of annoying. So what I can do is two things. I can not only have a different icon than just this one right here, the default one. I can go ahead and choose a happy face because it's a happy macro, and I can come down here and delete all the extra display text and just have it as Essential Oils. In fact, I can actually delete the underscore and have a space, because this isn't a macro that we're recording, so it's okay with the display name having a space. Click OK. Click OK. There's the happy face. Hover over it. The display name pops up, Essential Oils. And when I click on it, it adds it. Click, 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 click. You can see it keeps adding it. Okay, cool. Now, if you make a mistake in your recording, or you start typing Essential Oils, but you spell it E-S-E-N-T, you forgot the extra S, you go back, you correct it, that's okay, because the macro, when you execute it, runs so fast you don't see the changes that you made. So it just automatically puts it right in there. But if you want to edit your macro, I don't really recommend it, because I don't know about you, I really don't know much about Visual Basic application coding. Let me show you. Let's say I want to edit my macro. Okay, come up here to the View tab, to the Macros group, click on the drop-down arrow to view macros, or you can just click on the button, brings it up, select it, go ahead and click Edit, and hey, do you know anything about coding? I don't. But if it's something simple, I think it's easy to detect in here, like the font name, Times New Roman. If you want to change that, that's easy to look at and type in. Let's change our macro and say we wanted to use the font Arial. How about the size? That's not too difficult to figure out, right? If we want it to be a little bit larger, type in 16. How about down here, the color red? How about if we change red to blue? Okay. Once we're done, come up here, click on the Save button, and then click on File and Close and return to Microsoft Word. Now that we made some changes, let me hit Enter. And let's go ahead and click on the button. Hey, it's Essential Oils, size 16, in blue. Cool. So some simple editing is really easy to do. I mean, it pops right out, the size, the color. Go ahead and make the changes. But any in-depth editing, well, click on the Macros button, choose Edit. It's a lot of other things that are going on, because when it comes to working with the code here, if you go ahead and add in an extra character or delete a character and it's not the way it should be coded here, you're going to screw up your whole macro. So what I recommend, let me go ahead and close out, is that instead of editing it, go ahead and re-record it. I think it'll be a lot easier, especially if you're not familiar with Visual Basic application code. One last thing is that if you're trying to run a macro, but it prevents it and gives you a display bar up here that says macros disabled, well then come up here on the File tab, go down to Options, click on your Trust Center, the tab here, come over and click on Trust Center Settings, opens up. You've got your macro settings, which might be disable all macros without notification, in case if you don't get the notification. And the notification would be the message bar, which would by default say show the message bar. I say never show the information about block content. And if you're like me, then you'd have to come up here because you didn't get a warning. You're just trying to execute a macro and it doesn't work. So you can either go ahead and choose one of these other options, or For me, I choose enable all macros, which is not recommended because people can actually code within the macro harmful things to your computer. So if you record in the macro, well, you trust yourself, right? Then if you do, go ahead and say enable all macros. But if somebody sends you a Word document and you're not sure about them or you don't trust them, then you don't want this on, because if you execute the macro and they've got bad code in there, it could really wreak havoc upon your computer. So go ahead, and for me, I choose enable all, and I say don't show the message bar, and click OK, and click OK, and go ahead and run your macro, and you shouldn't get any prevention from the macro being executed. And then if I want to delete the macro, again, you can come up here to the macros group, or if you have the developer tab, same thing. Just click on the macros button, brings up the same window. Go ahead and select it, and you can delete it. Now, before I go ahead and click delete, you want to go ahead and look at the organizer, because in here, if you see a macro in one document and it's not available in another, then you can go ahead and select it, click on copy, and copy it over. How does it work? Well, over here by default, we have the normal.dotm, the template for all new documents, so this macro is going to be available anytime you create a new document. Over here is, well, the current document that's open, it's macros. If you want to go ahead and either add it to this one, go ahead and click copy, or you can go ahead and select it and delete it. And you can say yes, it removes it. Or if there's another document that you have open, you can click on the drop down arrow and select the other document. But if it's not open, you can say close this one. It doesn't close the document, just closes the document that displays within the window that's being available. And go ahead and click open. And I'll go to my desktop, to my exercises folder, and it doesn't see the files within the folder because it's looking for templates. In this folder, I've got, let me click on the arrow, all files. I've got documents, not templates. And then I can go ahead and select one, click open. It opens it up. It says, okay, in this document here, we don't have the new macros. So you can go ahead and select it, copy it over, and it will be copied into that document. So it's available there. I'm going to go ahead and close out here and not save it. And then come back up here to the macros. And go ahead and have it selected, delete it. Say yes, it's gone. So when I go ahead and do my shortcut key or come up here and click on the button, it says, hey, we can't find the macro that this button was assigned to. Click okie dokie, and then just come up here, right click on the happy face and remove from the quick access toolbar. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel to get notified of the latest videos. And for great specials on my products, please see the description below this video. Here I'm going to show you how you can link your Word document to an Excel workbook. In other words, in my Excel workbook, I've got a bunch of data for my monthly sales that I want to pull over into my document here and link it to, so if anybody makes any changes to that Excel workbook, it'll automatically update and reflect those changes over here in my document. Okay. In fact, let me show you my Excel workbook. Let me come up here and click on the minimize button so I can minimize the document down to the taskbar so I can see my desktop. Because on my desktop I have my exercises folder. Let me double click to open that up. And there we go. There's my monthly sales document that I just minimized down to the taskbar, and there's my Excel workbook for monthly sales data. Double click to open that up in the Excel program, and you can see that I've got my sales for essential oils for the months of, well, April and May, not June, not yet, for the regions of North, South, and East. So to go ahead and bring that data over and insert it into my document here and link it back to the workbook so it can reflect any changes if somebody makes it in the workbook over here in the document, it's really simple. Come up here, click on the Insert tab, and go over to the text group, and there it is. Click on the Object button, or click on the drop-down arrow and click on the Object button there. They're both the same, it doesn't matter. Click on one. Opens up the Object window. Go ahead and click on Create from File, and find that file. Click on the Browse button, and as you recall, it's on my desktop. There's the desktop. Over here in the main window, it's in the Exercises folder. Double-click, and there it is. Double-click on the file there. Now it's pointing right to it, and it'll pull in the data. Not only do I want it to pull the data over, but I want it to link it back to the Excel workbook. So again, changes made will reflect over here once I insert it into my document here. Click okie dokie, and hey, that's it. So it pulled the data over, which is cool, but now let's test it. Let me go back to my Excel workbook and let's go ahead and type in the numbers here for June. When I'm done, be sure to save my work. Let's go back to the document. It doesn't automatically update it here if we have both of the documents open, you know, the Excel workbook and my monthly sales document here. But we can go ahead and right click on the object there that we inserted and go down to Update Link, and there you go. Updated it, reflects the changes that we made in the Excel workbook. Now you could say, well, why don't you just go back to the workbook and just print it here if that's all you're going to do? Well, I'm trying to keep it simple here, but think of it this way. Excel can perform complex calculations with functions and formulas, so do all the work you can with numbers in here, and if you need to make a presentation or this is part of a presentation or a handout, then, go ahead and pull it into your document here, and you can have text below, graphs, charts, and all these things, and link it back to your Excel workbook. Because as you recall, when we went over tables, creating a table, inserting a table, we can perform simple calculations within that table. We can add up, a column or a row and do average or the sum of the column or the row. But anything that's more complex or really complex that you can do in Excel, you can't do it in here. So again, do everything that's complex in Excel and then just go ahead and pull the numbers over here. Let me go ahead and right click on the button because as you recall my Windows 7 training video, for every window that you have open, you have a corresponding button down in your taskbar. Let me go ahead and right click on it and left click on close. So now the Excel workbook is closed. So if I'm in my document and I'm like, I need to make some changes here to the numbers. To open up that Excel workbook that this table is linked to or this object, you can do it one of two ways. You can either double click on it and it opens it up. Hey, great. Let's go ahead and make a change. Type in 1, click Save, close out, right click to go down to Update. It shows the 1. Cool. Also, it looks like it condensed a little bit just around the data here, which is nice. I don't get those extra empty cells there. The other thing you can do is you can right click and go down to Linked Worksheet Object. You can either edit it or open the link. Brings it up again, make your change. This time it's 0. Go ahead and click Save, close out, and of course right click to update, and there's 0. Now here's what you want to keep an eye on, is that, let me double click to open up that Excel workbook that it's linked to, is that notice we've got 3 worksheets in our Excel workbook. It only pulls in the data on the first worksheet. So if I click and I drag this down to sheet 2, or behind sheet 2, now sheet 2 is the first sheet out of the 3 within the workbook, and I type in, 1, hit enter, and I go ahead and click Save, and I close out. Of course, if I right click on this and I go to update the link, it only pulls in whatever's on the first worksheet, whatever worksheet's on top. So it does have some limitations here. Well, the other limitation, let me go ahead and hit undo here and double click to pull that back up, and let's move worksheet 2 by clicking and dragging it. And you can see I'm moving my little mouse pointer behind sheet 1, so it drops it. Now sheet 1 is the first one in our row of sheets here. And if I add some other numbers, like out here, and I've got another, let me go ahead and select this, and let me click and drag the border of it down here. So I'm going to click and drag the border down here. So which one is it going to pull in? Let's go ahead and save, close out, right click, update. It pulls in everything. Oh no! In any case, what you want to do is also keep that limitation in mind as well. So let me go ahead and double click to open it back up. Let's delete everything here. And let's go ahead and unmerge these cells, which, by the way, I'm cruising through this pretty fast. If this seems new to you, what I'm doing, you want to watch my Excel 2010 training videos. Okay, so we're back to where we started. Okay, go ahead and click Save. And let's close out and let's right click to update. And look, it got rid of all that, but it still has all that extra white space there because we made some changes. Even though we deleted it, it's still capturing a large part of it. So I wouldn't go there. But it brings up a good point. What if you do have parts of the worksheet that you want to pull in, but not all of it? Well, let me go ahead and let's start over. Let's delete it, okay? And let's go ahead and open up that Excel workbook by coming down here to the exercises folder. So it brings up the window. Double click, open it up. And let's say I just want this portion of the workbook. Well, instead of inserting it as an object, just go ahead and select that portion and then come up here on the Home tab, click on the Copy button, okay? Minimize that down to the taskbar. Let's go into our document and let's go ahead and right click and go down to paste. You got some paste options. You can do a simple paste. You can actually do a link paste. You see the little chain right there, the link in a chain, just a single link. So you can link it and keep the source formatting, or you can link it and use the destination styles, okay? So if I go ahead and do that, it's linked. So any changes I make, let's see, it's 1191. Let's go back here. 1191 and type in 1, hit enter, be sure to save my work. Go back to the document and let's right click and update. Hey, there you go. There's a way around it. If you want to convert your document like I have here on the product Yummy Bears into a PowerPoint presentation or the program PowerPoint, okay, if you don't know what it is, then you want to watch my training videos on it. But in short, PowerPoint is a presentational program. I mean, it does a lot of the same things that Word does in that you can type in text, insert images, objects, also draw shapes. But the biggest difference is that once you do all that in PowerPoint, you can actually animate any of that. So if I have the title or the heading in PowerPoint, Yummy Bears, I could select it, apply some animations, so when I give the presentation, it can fly in, zoom in, whatever animated effect I want to give it. Not only that, but in PowerPoint you can insert movies and audio. And new to PowerPoint 2010 is that once you insert the movies and audio, you can actually edit it. So if it's an 8-minute movie, you can crop it down to, well, as small as you want, 2, 3 minutes, you choose. You can actually bookmark them as well. So if you have a 5-minute movie and you think that you might not be able to get through it in your presentation, you can go ahead and bookmark it, like let's say at the 4-minute mark. So that way if you are running out of time during the presentation, you can just go right to that bookmark and it'll play the last minute of the 5-minute video. Kind of cool. In any case, we already have the text that we want to give the presentation on. We just want to go ahead and convert it over into PowerPoint so we can spiff it up, add some animation, maybe insert some pictures, some transitional effects. In any case, you want to watch the training videos on that, but to get it over, I'm going to go ahead and use the Send to PowerPoint feature. Now, when I send this over into PowerPoint, you need to know is that it's not going to take all the text. It's only going to take the text, like bullet points, and the text that have the heading styles applied to it. Like you can see up here, when I have my cursor flashing in Yummy Bears, it has the heading 1 style applied to it. When I come down here to Flavors, it has the heading 2 style applied to it. As you recall in the earlier training videos on styles, we talked about that later on when it comes to using some more advanced features in Word, and this is one of them. It's only going to look for, and in this case pull over, the text that have the style headings applied to it that you see up here in the Styles group. Not the ones that you create. So if I come down here and I select this text and I go, okay, that's bold and the size is now 16, that's a heading to me. It is to you, but not to Word when it comes to using the advanced features. So don't do that. Let's go ahead and undo that. That doesn't mean that you're stuck with the default heading formats that they have applied to, well, the heading 1 style here, like B for bold and the size 16. As you recall my styles training video, you can come up here and right click on heading 1, modify it and say, for all my heading 1s, I want it to be size, 26. You can make the changes here. In any case, let me click cancel. So assuming that you watch that training video on it, just know that when we send this over to PowerPoint, it's only going to pull over the main points that have, well, the heading styles applied to it, heading 1, 2, or 3 from the styles group, and the bulleted points. Now, why would it do that and not pull over all the text? Well, the reason why it doesn't is because that's the whole purpose of the PowerPoint presentation, not to read. Can you imagine how boring that would be if you had nothing but text up on the screen there that everybody had to read and read and read and read? That's annoying. Instead, you just want to go ahead and bag the PowerPoint presentation and just print this off and hand them the handouts. Let them read it in their own time. So there we go. We've got our headings. We've got some bulleted points that will pull those over. In fact, let me drive the point home before we convert this over into PowerPoint. I'm going to hold down the keys Control F to bring up the navigation pane. And as you recall, when we bring it up, it has 3 tabs. The first tab shows all the headings within the document. Well, the headings that have the heading styles up here, the defaults 1, 2, 3, 4 or more. Okay. So can you imagine giving a presentation by having people looking at the main points and just going, okay, Yummy Bears, and you say, well, that's our product. We have special flavors, blueberry, raspberry, well, coconut, maple syrup, and our target audience is adults. Now that's a lot simpler, and that's what PowerPoint is, than just coming over here and saying, okay, read through that. Annoying. Not only that, but in PowerPoint, once you have the titles over there, for your heading 1s will be titles of each slide, like Yummy Bears, you can actually, with the rest of the slide, insert some images, movies, audio, make it really fun, okay? Of course, you can click to jump right to it in Word. In any case, let's close out of it. Let's go ahead and send this over to PowerPoint by coming up here. It's not on the ribbon, so we have to customize our quick access toolbar by giving it a right click, going down to Customize, and then changing it from Popular to All Commands. And it is alphabetized, so scroll down to the S's here. And there it is, Send to Microsoft PowerPoint. Go ahead and double click on it so it adds it over to the rest of the commands that are already displayed on the quick access toolbar. Save as, click okie dokie, and there it is. Go ahead and click on it and boom, it's done. There you go. Okay, let's see what it brought over. So for the title on each slide, let me go back to the document here, it's going to be the heading 1. So whatever you want as the title for that slide, have it in the heading 1 style. Okay, let's go back to the presentation here. So we have Yummy Bears as the heading 1, and then any subheadings like heading 2, heading 3 will be a bulleted point to the main heading or heading 1 in the hierarchical structure. So there's heading 1 that it pulled over, and it brought over heading 2, but because that's a subheading to heading 1, well, it put it as a bulleted point under Yummy Bears, okay? And then notice how when I go to the other slides here, coconut, maple syrup, and chocolate, when I go back to my Word document here, there's coconut, maple syrup, and chocolate. It doesn't have to be in a heading style because Microsoft considers those bulleted points, as points to discuss. If it's bulleted over here in Word, it'll actually pull them over into the PowerPoint presentation as something that's being important. Now, you may not think it's something that you want to talk about, so you can go ahead and delete the slides. And then notice on the chocolate slide, so it had the bulleted point chocolate, but then it had back in the Word document, target audience, heading 2 as a subpoint to a bullet point. Well, it's not perfect, so if you want to go back to the presentation, make some changes there, and take target audience and have it as the heading of its own slide, or just delete it altogether, that's fine. Then there's snickerdoodles. So we have heading 1, right? Snickerdoodles. There's heading 2, oversight or overbite. So that's heading 2, a subheading to heading 1. And then you have heading 3, which is a subheading to the subheading of heading 1. So you have heading 1, the bullet, and then the sub-bullets. And if we go back to our document, let's scroll down to the bottom. There's heading 1, there's heading 2, there's heading 3. And it was able to pick that up and convert it in a way that I think is pretty helpful when it comes to bringing that over into PowerPoint. But if not, it brought over the main points. Go ahead and make any changes that you want to and add the images, clean it up, and when you're done, be sure to save your work. If you want to email your document off to somebody, there are 3 ways that I want to show you. One way is to go ahead and select it, open up your email program, copy the text, and paste it into an email. I mean, that could be a while. So the other 2 ways may be a little bit more practical. You can either do it by text only or as an attachment. If you want to send your email off as text only, let me show you. You want to come up here and customize the quick access toolbar so you can bring up the command send to mail recipient. Just go ahead and right click anywhere on the quick access toolbar, go down to customize it, change it from popular commands to all commands, and then scroll down to the S's, and there it is, send to mail recipient. Double click on it so I can add it over here to the rest of my commands on the quick access toolbar. Click okie dokie, and there we go. Come up here, click on it. Who is it going to? I'm going to send it to myself. Type in essential oils at dreamforce.us, but because it's already popping up down below, if I just hit the tab key, automatically fills it in. Then the subject. The subject by default will be the title of your document, email documents, or you can go ahead and delete it and type in something else. Say it's a poem, and then the introduction, something about the poem. It's my... Now what's interesting is that when somebody receives that, you'll have the body of the text down below, but just above it, there'll be a line, and then above that, it'll have the introduction. Let me show you. So we've got the body of the text down below, the document, the introduction, the subject, and who I'm sending it to. Go ahead and click Send a Copy, and then go ahead and click on the Start button and open up Outlook 2010. I assume that you have Outlook 2010. If you don't, then ignore this part of the training video. And if you do, you can get more out of this by watching my Outlook 2010 training videos. Now notice that in my outbox, when I click on it, the email's sitting there until I send it off. And I can do that by coming up here on the Quick Access toolbar in the Outlook program and click on Send and Receive, and it sends it off. And then if there's anything out there, it'll receive it. And it just came back into me, back in the inbox. So when I go to the inbox, it received what I just sent out back to myself. You can see over here the preview window, or you can double click to open up the email. And there we go. It's from me, to me, the subject's the poem, and then the introduction, I typed in my fancy poem, and then there's the horizontal line that separates that, the introduction, to the rest of the body of the text down below. Let's go ahead and close out of that and go back to my document here. And then if I want to go ahead and send this off as an attachment, not as text within the email or the body of the message, then just come up here, click on the File tab, go down to Save and Send using emails already selected by default. Just come over here and click on Send as Attachment, and then type in who it's to, and then it's to me, essential oils at dreamforce.us. Hit the Tab key, and you can see it's an attachment, the little word icon there, and then go ahead and click Send. Go back to my email program, and when I click Send, it might have already just sent it off and may have not been sitting in the outbox. Let's come up here and click Send and Receive to see if it comes back to me, and there it is. Right there, double click to open it up, and that's all there is. You don't have the body of the text down below, so it's text only. You actually have it as an attachment. That way somebody can just go ahead and double click to open up the attachment. Gives you the option if you want to go ahead and edit it, but it might be unsafe. If you trust the person, click on Enable Editing, and then it'll open up the ribbon. You can, make your edits to the document down below. Which brings up a good point. You may want to send it as an attachment if somebody needs to make some changes to it, any comments, and to have the editing features available that you would have in Microsoft Word that you wouldn't have in just an email text here. Let me go ahead and open this back up and double click on the first email. See, when I open it up, I don't get the chance to edit it. It's just a message here. Unless, of course, I come over here on the Message tab to move, click on the actions, and go down to edit the message. Then it opens up some tabs here. But you don't get the full power behind Microsoft Word, just part of the features that are available that you have on some of the tabs here, like the Insert tab, the Message tab. In any case, you can watch my Outlook 2010 training videos for more information on that. Let's close out, and back to where we started. The User Information feature is a way that you can personalize your copy of files that you create in Microsoft Office programs. Not just Word here, but any Office programs that you have installed in your computer, like Access, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, with your own name and initials. So for example, come up here, click on the File tab, go down to Options, come up here, General tab is selected by default, and then here it is. Personalize your copy of Microsoft Office. It doesn't say Word, it says all of Office. So whatever you type down below for your username and initials, any files or documents that you create or modify, it'll apply your name to it and tag it. So go ahead and type in your full name and your initials, and then go ahead and click OK. So when you make any changes and you click Save, anybody else who pulls open this document can simply come up here and click on the File tab, and then down below, Info selected by default, over in the Properties pane, they can see who it was last modified by. It's got my name, my user information. Well, not my initials, but my full name there. Now this can be very helpful later on when we go over the tracking feature in Word. To keep track of changes that other people make, it's going to go off of their user information. So when I take this document and I shoot it off to somebody else and they get it, it'll track their changes that they make if I turn on the tracking feature and tie their name to those changes. Okay? So it's important that you at least update this and put your name in there. So if you use the tracking feature, everybody else knows that it's you, unless of course you want to disguise yourself. And also keep in mind is that anybody can come in here and change the username as well. It's not locked down. So if I come over here, click on Options, and I change it from me, and let's say I'm now Slarty, and I got my initials, and I click Okie dokie. Now remember, on the File tab down below, it's got last modified by Kurt Kershaw. Well, if I come up here, let me click on the File tab again, and make the changes under the current user information of Slarty B, and then click Save, and I click on the File tab. It's not going to update it until I close out and refresh the document. And it refreshes when I close out, and let me go ahead and open it up because it's in the Exercises folder. And there it is, double click, and then click on the File tab, and there you go. It updated and it says, okay, the last person who modified this, that had their username, it was Slarty B. So now I can go after him and say, hey, why'd you make those changes? The Email Document for Review feature, of course, not only allows you to email your document out to whoever you want to send it to, but also it'll track in the color red any changes that the other person makes to your document, which is pretty neat. Because once they're done making changes to the document and they send it back to you, you don't have to second guess what changes they made because you'll see it in the color red. Or, as I'll show you in a later training video, whatever color that you want to see those changes in. So to go ahead and to use this feature, because it's not found anywhere here on the ribbon, we have to add the command to the Quick Access toolbar, and we can customize it and add the command by just right-clicking anywhere on it, going down to Customize Quick Access toolbar, and then change from Popular Commands to All Commands. Go ahead and scroll down to the S's, and there it is, Send for Review. Go ahead and double-click on it to add to the rest of the commands that are currently being displayed on the Quick Access toolbar. Click Okie dokie. Come up here, there it is, go ahead and click on it. Give it a second. When it's ready, it'll start flashing the button down below on the taskbar. Go ahead and click on it to restore that window, and there you go. If you notice the subject and the body of the message, it basically says the same thing, please review. I don't have to type in anything extra unless I want to say, well, down the body. Thanks so much, I appreciate it, love you bunches, best regards, whatever, Kurt Kershaw. And then there's the document that's attached to it. Now, not only did it attach the document to an email here, but it turned on the tracking feature. Well, what is that? It tracks whatever changes that somebody makes to this document. So for example, let me go ahead and double click and open it up. If you come up here on the Review tab, notice in the Tracking group, the Track Changes feature is highlighted. That means it's turned on. I can click on it to turn it off, but then that would be missing the point. Let's go ahead and click on it to turn it on, which brings up a good point. You don't have to use the Send for Review feature. You can actually just go ahead and open up your document, come here to the Review tab, to the tracking group, and click on it to turn it on, save it, close out of it, open up your email program, and attach this document to your email and send it off. And any changes they make, it'll keep track of it. But I like using this feature here, the Send for Review, because it hits two birds with one stone. Not only does it turn on the feature here to track changes that are made to the document, but it also inserts the document, attaches it to an email so I don't have to do that. So I can get two things done at once. So from this point forward, any changes that anybody makes to the document, it'll be displayed in here. In fact, if I come down in here and I start typing, it displays it in red. I'm going to go ahead and close out and not save it. And then all I have to do is go ahead and email this off to a coworker like Carrie. Type in K, there it is, Carrie Heffernan, hit the tab key. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and also carbon copy me in on this so you can see from her point of view what it looks like when she gets this and opens it up. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and type in my email address, E for essential oils at dreamforce.us, hit the tab key, and let's go ahead and click send. Now when I click send, it doesn't automatically send it out, at least not with Outlook 2010. I have to come down here, click on the Start button, and actually open up the Outlook program because it's going to sit in my outbox until I open it up. Give it a second or two, and boom, it'll send it off then. Okay. Let me go to my inbox because I did carbon copy me in on it. So come up here, click on Send and Receive. Here it is. It comes in, and there it is. So when Carrie gets it, or whoever you're sending this to, this is what it's going to look like. Double-click to open it up. There's the attachment. Oh, okay, please review. Sure. They double-click to open up the document, and before they can edit it or make any changes, it says up here in the message bar that, hey, it might be unsafe. Do you really trust this Kurt guy? Go ahead and click on Enable Editing, and when you do that, it'll allow you to go ahead and make any changes that you want to make to the document here. Now, if I click on it, because the document, the original document, is already on my computer, it's going to see that, and it's going to ask me if I want to go ahead and merge any changes that I see in this document or that I make into the original. Does that make sense? Let me show you. Click on it. There you go. It says, hey, do you want to go ahead and merge changes in the document that's attached to the email with the original document that's on your computer in the exercises folder? I'll say no. It pulls up the document here, and notice it's in read-only mode. They can go ahead and type in and make changes to it, but they can't save to overwrite the original document. So again, she would go ahead and start typing things and whatever she wanted. I'm going to go ahead and ask her to make changes, send it back to us to see what it looks like. Go ahead and close out, not save it, close out of here, and then ask her to send me back the changes that she made. She said she sent it back to me. Let me come up here, click on the Send Receive button. Here it comes. Let me go ahead and double click, open it up. There's the attachment, double click on that, and those are the changes that she made. You can see that with Lightning, it used to be streaks. She deleted that. Well, it didn't delete it. It just put a line through it saying, okay, the original text is still there, but she added the text breaks. Across the sky, she crossed out strobing or wanted to delete that. You can see when I hover over it, it says, hey, Carrie Heffernan made this change March 26 at 4:06 p.m. and she deleted the text strobing. Well, it wasn't deleted, it just put a line through it. And she added the text shattering. The night, a young man is seen riding against the wind in a desperate flight. She didn't replace that at all. She just wanted to delete it. As you can see, it says deleted. So that way I can see the changes that she made. And if I'm just curious and I don't care and just go, oh, that's nice, then I can just drop it. But if I'd like to have some of those changes applied to the original document, then just come up here, click on Enable Editing. It looks at the original document. It says, okay, do you want to go ahead and merge the changes here with the original document? Click yes. It opens it up, and as you recall, in an earlier training video when it came to compare or combining documents here, here's the combined document, here's the original, and here's the revised document that she emailed to me. So I can see the difference between the two, and then I can go ahead and see what it looks like when it's combined. Now what's going to happen here, if I go ahead and click Save, is it going to add this to the original document? Well, it said it will, so if I go ahead and close out of here, let me close out of everything here, and get back to my exercises folder that has the original document in there. Let me double click to open it up. And there it is, Email Document Review, double click. And there it is. It kept everything, even the edits. And so what I want to show you in a later training video is that if you don't want to see this, in other words, you don't want the original strike-throughs, what's deleted, you just want to accept the changes that, well, in my case, that Carrie made, like instead of streaks to breaks, and instead of strobing to shattering, to accept or reject changes, then you want to watch my training video on just that, accepting or rejecting changes. I'll give you a hint. It's on the Review tab right there. But watch my videos so I can have more time to go over it a little bit more in depth. And by the way, when I click on the View tab, it's in Web Layout View. I don't like that. I like Print Layout because that's the way that I originally had it. Also, I don't see my rulers. Let me go ahead and come up here on the View tab in the Show group and check ruler. Much better. Let me go ahead and save that and go to the next training video. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel to get notified of the latest videos. And for great specials on my products, please see the description below this video. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel to get notified of the latest videos. And for great specials on my products, please see the description below this video.